Yeah, I'm not getting this at all. Why didn't I think of doing it like that?
Kirby Superstar for the Super Nintendo, one of the greatest Kirby games of all time. Well, I guess I shouldn't really say one of, since this game is technically 8 games in one. More on that later though. First, a brief history of the Kirby franchise. Kirby's development team, HAL Laboratory, was in a dire situation. It was 1992, and although they had put out popular releases for the NES such as Balloon Fight and Joust, they were teetering on the brink of bankruptcy. After spending 4 years of development time on their title Metal Slayer Glory, they found themselves stuck in a hellish development cycle. In attempts to recoup funds, they would rush to release a game, only for it to sell poorly, leading to another rushed development cycle to try and catch up. Then president of HAL, the late Satoru Iwata, knew something had to change. Obviously, this wasn't going to work, and the only way to break out of this cycle was to create a proper game, something that would garner the support of the players. Iwata said to his team, okay, from here on out, every game we create is going to sell 1 million copies. He figured everyone had thought he'd lost his mind. Soon after, HAL released Kirby's Adventure for the NES, with well over 1 million copies sold. But see, the team members at HAL were no strangers to success. This was the second Kirby game to be released. The first game was created years prior by a newcomer to the company named Masahiro Sakurai. At 19 years old, he got straight to work developing what was then called Popopo of the Spring Breeze, starring Popopo. That's a fun name. He did most of the programming using a trackball and an on-screen keyboard to input values. He assumed that's just how game development worked. The game's core principle was that it was to be enjoyed by everyone, an action game for beginners. Sakurai set out to create a cute character that everyone would love, with a simple design that fans could sketch in their notebooks. Popopo was to have easy-to-use controls and offer a mild challenge that would entice seasoned gamers, but not scare off newcomers. As development came to a close on this first Popopo game, HAL started to collect pre-orders, only garnering 20,000 sales. Not long after, the release was cancelled. The reason for cancellation, however, wasn't due to low pre-order numbers. It was because HAL had someone new stepping in: Nintendo. They had taken notice of HAL's work and didn't want such a good game to go to waste. Nintendo took over publishing duties, changed Popopo's name to Kirby, and the rest was history. The team at HAL continued making Kirby games with the help of Nintendo. This included spin-offs such as Kirby's Pinball and Kirby's Dream Course, as well as more traditional titles like Kirby's Dream Land 2 and, of course, Kirby Superstar. Let's check it out! 8 games in one, so says the box. I feel like lots of people were trying this many games in one thing. I usually saw it with cheap knockoff consoles that you'd see at mall kiosks. Look at this, 10 million games in one? That's a lie.
You know when you would ask your parents if you could go get McDonald's and they would say, we have McDonald's at home.
Well, this is the Nintendo that you have at home. And God forbid we bring up the infamous Action 52. 52 games, all unfinished, buggy messes. Of course, that doesn't mean that every game that includes multiple games is going to be bad. Take, for example, Kirby Superstar. It's one of my favorite Kirby games of all time. It's split into 8 games, so there's a lot to see here, and I plan on showing y'all all of it. So, let's jump right into the first game, Spring Breeze. A nice little touch for Kirby Superstar is that they gave each game its own title screen and intro cutscene that gives a bit of backstory. For Spring Breeze, King Dedede has stolen all the food in Dreamland, and it's up to our hero Kirby to get it back. This game's actually a remake of the original Kirby that we saw on the Game Boy. It definitely has that beginner-friendly feel, with a couple of new elements added in, like the copy ability, which actually wasn't a gameplay element in the original game. It's pretty cool to play through this updated version of a classic. All in all, it's a great introduction game to Kirby Superstar.
But speaking of introductions, I'm actually getting a bit ahead of myself, because one of my favorite parts about this experience happens at the start of each game. Oh, what a banger!
The tutorial, everybody's favorite part of a video game, right? Kirby Superstar takes an interesting approach. This is the beginner show, an interactive tutorial that's framed as a stage show featuring Kirby and his friends. Being shown the ropes here feels a lot more like you're being guided through a performance rather than just being instructed on how you're supposed to play the game. This section's quick, witty, and has great music. I will always sit through this tutorial.
Now back to Spring Breeze.
This game is split into 4 stages, so pretty short, but its presentation as the first game of the pack gives you a great introduction to the gameplay, especially when it comes to copy abilities. After a cute little intro, you're thrown right into the action. And look at that, there's our first copy ability to check out, Beam. Beam was kind of a staple ability for earlier Kirby games. In Kirby Superstar, tapping the attack button projects out a beam in front of you that damages enemies. Holding down the attack button charges up a ranged projectile that rips through enemies. Utilizing all the attacks of each ability adds nice depth to the combat and can lead to some cool combos. But not all of the abilities have combos baked in. One of my favorites is One of my favorite abilities is the mic. One of my favorite abilities in this game is the mic ability. It's got 3 charges, each one just damages all the enemies on screen. And fun fact, the 3rd charge is actually voiced by Masahiro Sakurai. There are so many neat little tidbits about the abilities in this game, like the sword ability that we find in Stage 3. It has Kirby don a hat that looks pretty similar to another video game hero. It's just so exciting coming across a new enemy that's using a unique ability and you think, whoa, I'm gonna try that. The experience is even heightened when it comes from a mini-boss. Take this encounter from Stage 1. The first thing I see on screen is a new enemy. I'm gonna try and see what copy ability it has. It's a lot like what happened in the beginning of the game. Too bad though, this time, no copy ability. That's fine, a lot of the enemies in this game don't have copy abilities. But the mini-boss is just a bigger version of this dude, so I guess it's just gonna kinda jump around and— oh my god, is that a bomb? Oh yeah, you're coming with me. Alright, that's enough about copy abilities. How about these bosses? In each stage, there's a mini-boss halfway through and a big baddie at the end. And after fighting through the first 3 stages, it's time to take on King Dedede himself at Mount Dedede. After we make our entrance, it's on, and we can see that some of our friends are here. Mario, Luigi, Toad, Birdo, even Peach, they're all here to cheer us on. Now Dedede's no pushover, but we make quick work of him. He's thrown from his castle, we do a little victory dance, and then Kirby returns all the food back to the citizens of Dreamland. And that's Spring Breeze, the first game in Kirby Superstar. I hope you're having a good time already, but hey, we've got some more games to check out. Let's see what's next. Alright, what do we have here? Gourmet Race. Kirby versus King Dedede in a sprint to the finish. Seems pretty straightforward.
But that's not gonna stop me from checking out the tutorial.
Run fast, eat food.
Sounds good to me.
Oh, and we get right into the action. I'm lightning out of the gates, but King Dedede's hot on my tail. That dude's fast. And damn, listen to how good that music is. I appreciate the strategy that comes into this game mode. I pass up a bunch of copy abilities here, but actually go back to grab the wheel. Then immediately the stage goes vertical. I'm really regretting my decision in this copy ability. But boy did it feel good to hit the straightaway and scream right past Dedede with the wheel. Get wrecked. It's always funny seeing the face that he makes whenever he loses. I almost feel bad for him, but he's like evil or something, right? I don't know, either way, we win, and that's Gourmet Race. Pretty short one, but pretty fun, action-packed. Let's check out what's next. I guess we could play these in any order. Let's check out Dyna Blade next. The story tells us there's more food shortages in Dreamland, this time at the hands of Dyna Blade. And, I wasn't supposed to tell you about the copy ability yet?
That's okay, I actually haven't really explained to y'all exactly how the copy ability works. So at this point, you already know what time it is.
For most encounters in Kirby, you can spit out enemies that you've inhaled as an attack, and that's all the damage you need. But if you're feeling like having a bit more power, try inhaling and then swallowing the enemy. That way you capture their ability, and you can use it for yourself.
And that's pretty much all there is to it, except in Kirby Superstar there are a few more ways that you can use the copy ability.
If you relinquish the ability you already have, you can summon a helper. They'll fight by your side and... Oh.
Well, they are quite the help.
And if you plug in a second controller, you can have your friend join in as the helper. That way they can run around and do whatever it is that helpers do. Very helpful, this copy ability. Make sure you use it to its fullest potential. Now Dyna Blade is where the gameplay really starts to kick into gear. Up until this point, hopping through the levels has been pretty basic, but now that I've proven that I understand the fundamentals, it's time to add in some challenge. This part here put my knowledge of the copy ability to the test. If I can hit that bomb, it'll blow up the wall and allow me to get to the 1-up. Only problem is, my cutter ability just bounces right off the wall. If I go back earlier in the level, I can pick up the beam ability. That ability can pass through walls, allowing me to hit the bomb and grab the 1-up. Ability puzzles like that are sprinkled throughout the game, whether it's finding the right way to hit a bomb block that's just out of reach, or using the fire ability to light a fuse. It makes me always pause whenever I see a new ability show up in a level. I'm thinking, they might use this for a puzzle coming up here. But think fast, don't let that bomb jump off the edge. Whew, that was a close one. This is a special copy ability that only shows up in a few spots in the game. Using it pretty much speaks for itself. The first time I see this next ability is when my helper is getting absolutely cooked by this boss. But after I take him down, it's time to exact my revenge with the cook ability. I don't know if I should be terrified by what Kirby just did or impressed that that recipe worked out so well. This game really has excitement around every corner, whether you're racing through a level, fighting a boss, or solving a puzzle. They really keep you on your toes. Look here, I barely make it to the warp star in time on this auto-scrolling level. Not a pixel to spare. And this mini-boss really gave me and my helper a hard time, but boy do I love how that hammer bonks. It's one of my favorite abilities. It's super powerful, and it's the key to some puzzles, like this one, where you commit arson. Hey, at least we got a reward out of it. I always feel compelled to check out every nook and cranny in the levels, cause you never know what you're gonna find. This button here unlocked a secret level on the world map. Going there gave me an option of so many copy abilities, and some enemies at the bottom so I can test out my moves. But not all the rewards are hidden behind secrets or petty crime. At the end of each level you get this little minigame, and hitting a full power cannon shot is very satisfying. Alright, we're stocked up on abilities, knowledge, and more 1-ups than I know what to do with. It's time to take on Dyna Blade. To get to this final boss, you have to fight through an onslaught of mini-bosses that you've seen along the way. There's our old friend Bonkers again, and he actually gives me a run for my money this time. I end up getting to him without a copy ability, so it's just on me and my knowledge of the game to take him down. Now it's time for the final fight. We get a choice of copy abilities before going in. I choose Beam because it's one of the easier ones to use. Dyna Blade comes swooping in and immediately you know you're in for a serious fight. She did not come to play around, makes quick work of my helper. And soon after, I get killed too. That's right, let's go back and adjust our strategy a little bit. This time I tried Cutter, a bit more damage if you can hit your shots. This fight goes down to the wire, and just when both of us are at a sliver of health left, Dyna Blade swoops in and grabs me to get the kill. But that's alright, one last adjustment to our strategy. Maybe I can't hit my shots, but Sir Kibble can. I'll take the sword instead and get up close. Me and my helper come in ready to fight. While the sword is a bit more dangerous as it's such close range, by this point I've kind of memorized Dyna Blade's patterns. I can get in close for that big damage. one final stab, Dyna Blade is defeated. Now it's time to get our food back. Oh wait, what's this? Oh, Dyna Blade was just trying to feed her kids. Well, we can help with that, along with our former enemy turned friend, Wispy Woods. So long, Dyna Blade, and oh, see you next time, I guess. Alright, we unlocked a new game. Let's check it out. Revenge of Meta Knight. So Meta Knight's kind of the edgy character of the Kirby franchise. If Kirby isn't cool enough for you, Meta Knight's probably your guy. The cool thing about this game is that it's a lot more story driven. There's a narrative with cutscenes, dialogue, unique characters. They really turn the drama up to 11. The basic story is pretty simple. Meta Knight and his crew on the Halberd are here in Dreamland to take over. It's up to Kirby to stop them. I love how all the characters in this game are just cartoony villains. It's fun to see them just grumbling about their evil plans. I would love to see this game with full voice acting. Now that would be awesome. These goons are terrified of Kirby, and they should be. Look at them rocketing into the Halberd, hell-bent on thwarting their evil plans. But the villains do have some tricks up their sleeves, like Heavy Lobster. Kind of a silly name for a boss, but this thing doesn't mess around. I was so busy fighting it, I didn't realize that the ship was about to take off. With that, Kirby's cast into the ocean, and he has to fight his way back to Meta Knight's ship, the Halberd. Along the way, we see some familiar faces like Wispy Woods. Oh, 2 Wispy Woods. We catch a warp star and make our way back to Meta Knight and his crew. But just when we get close enough, we're blasted out of the sky. Damn, looks like these guys aren't going down without a fight. Let's make our way back to the ship. Okay, a random ability pedestal? I feel like I gotta take it, right? Oh, it was absolutely worth it getting to watch Kirby fly through this next section. Especially this part where the ground breaks just as I pass by it. I'm glad they gave me that ability. It feels like the developers really want me to have fun playing this game. What a concept. Uh-oh, you again. But this time we're not here to fight. We team up and fly to the Halberd on Dyna Blade's back. But just as we get there, she gets shot down by Meta Knight and crew. Okay, now it's personal. We head straight to their main cannon and destroy it. That'll teach them. But there's still more work to be done. We head to the left wing and destroy that too. After that's taken care of, they're really starting to feel it. So much so that they start to fight back with Heavy Lobster. Alright, this guy again. By the way, while we're here, are you enjoying the music? We're not alone. When the 8-Bit Big Band released a rendition of this song, it went on to win a Grammy Award in 2022. Pretty cool. This time it's a fair fight, no blasting me off the ship. But I bet they wish they did, cause I annihilate Heavy Lobster, and the right wing along with it. If they don't stop me now, they're about to go down. Heading through the ducts, I'm making my way towards the reactor, which they say is indestructible. We use their own lasers against them to destroy the reactor, and now the ship is sinking. The crew is ordered to evacuate, and even though they don't want to leave, Meta Knight is the only one to stay to go down with the ship. That means it's time. 1-on-1 Kirby versus Meta Knight. Now this is a cool fight. You have to take the sword ability to start it, so it's like a sword fight between you and Meta Knight. Makes the combat a lot more interesting and it helps the theming. But of course, in the end, our hero Kirby is victorious. And now, it's time to escape! The ship is going down! We hop on Wheelie and race to get out of there. Meta Knight's still around to stop us. Time is ticking and it's not easy getting out of here. Oh, it's really coming down to the wire. With one final leap, Kirby escapes. The halberd goes down. And thanks to our hero Kirby, Dreamland is safe once again. That is Revenge of Meta Knight. So next up is the Great Cave Offensive.
But I'm actually not going to go through that one with y'all. You see,
for this video, I've been playing this game on the Nintendo Online service. It's one of the titles that they offer from the SNES library. But my first time playing this game wasn't through Nintendo Online. It wasn't even on an SNES. It was here, with Kirby Superstar Ultra, a remake for the DS. I loved this game. It still remains as one of my favorite DS games of all time. When I first played it, the bulk of my time was spent with the Great Cave Offensive. It's a game where you search through caves for treasure. There's a lot to find, including some references to other games, like Metroid and... oh my god, is that the Triforce? There are some really cool boss fights, like this one, modeled after classic RPGs. Or this one, that for Smash Bros fans might be a familiar face, or hand. I spent hours upon hours with this game as a kid, trying to find every piece of treasure. I never did complete my collection, but maybe you can. Dive into the caves on your own and see what you can find. And if you're lucky enough to find a copy, check it out through Kirby Superstar Ultra. In my opinion, they did an incredible job updating the game to make it feel like the definitive version.
sorry to leave y'all hanging on this one, but there's still more to check out.
Alright, what are these little guys doing down here? Megaton Punch. A test of skill between you and your opponent in a brick-breaking competition. Punch hard enough and you can crack Popstar right in half. There's even a two-player mode to test your skills between your friends. And Samurai Kirby. Alright, Muffin Man. Time to meet your baker. This one's a reaction test. You gotta be quick on the draw. Really, this one is tough. I cannot beat a lot of these enemies. Try it out yourself, see if you can do it. Those last two games we looked at were pretty short, little mini games, but they introduced a nice challenge, and they were a nice little mix-up from the rest of the games. I really appreciate the opportunity for two-player competitive multiplayer as well. After that nice little break from Kirby's adventuring, I'm ready to get back into it. So let's check it out. The final game in Kirby Superstar, Milky Way Wishes. In the mysterious year of, the sun and the moon are fighting. Kirby's friend, Marx, comes to him with a great idea. Let's ask the giant comet Nova for help. It won't be that easy though. First, Kirby has to collect power from the stars in space around him. In this final adventure, Kirby sets off to save the solar system.
So at this point, we're pretty much experts at the game. But how about just this one last time? We do the tutorial for old time's sake.
Wait, we can't copy in this game? That's alright though, because the copy ability is replaced with deluxe copy abilities. You'll find copy ability pedestals scattered throughout the game. Once you collect an ability, you can use it whenever you want for the rest of the game. Just load up the start menu and select one. There's even a way to cycle through abilities without opening menus. That's convenient. Okay, now I'm really glad we checked out the tutorial. Let's see what Milky Way Wishes has in store for us. So this one's kind of an open world game. There's all these stars to check out, and there's not much of an order to them. So let's just jump into one. The beginning of this game can be a little bit tough not having copy abilities, but that's alright, just like in the OG Kirby game, we don't need copy abilities to fight. Honestly, this first area gave me a bit of trouble. Not just with fighting the enemies, but it took my peanut brain a bit too long to realize that going through these doors changes the season, affecting the stage in ways like freezing water or removing trees. Once we find the way forward and start finding our first copy abilities, I take the time to really start to figure out how each of these copy abilities work. Opening up the start menu reveals all these different moves that you can do with each copy ability. They're surprisingly filled out movesets. Abilities like Fighter, that at first seem like simple punches, have multitudes of mix-ups that you can employ. There are also simple mechanics that are revealed, like with the Plasma ability. This little zap here wasn't doing too much for me. That is, until I went into the menus and saw that you had to build up your static charge using the D-pad. Or little things like Kirby skating whenever he dashes with the ice ability, or your jet engines being able to light fuses. This game really just shows off all the great parts of Kirby Superstar. All the copy abilities, traversal mechanics, puzzles, it's all here, and you're really rewarded for digging deep into the mechanics of this game. It's always so satisfying finding a great way to get through a level, or a creative way to beat a boss. But of course, just delivering on the core gameplay of Kirby Superstar here isn't the only thing that this game has to offer. There are still a few more surprises that this game has in store for us. After collecting the power from all the stars, we approached Nova. Who would have thought all along this was Marx's plan to control Popstar? Now, it's up to Kirby to stop him. This next section is actually a side-scrolling shoot 'em up, so we've thrown a whole new genre into the mix. It's pretty challenging and a lot of fun. It took me a couple tries to get through it, but I finally destroyed the core. Now all that's left is the final fight between Marx and Kirby. I've always really liked the design of Marx. They just strike me as a quintessential Kirby villain. They've got a lot of cool looking moves, but they stand no chance against me. I've done all the tutorials. With Marx defeated and Nova destroyed, Kirby has once again saved Popstar. That's Milky Way Wishes and Kirby Superstar. Okay, one last thing. That's actually not all of Kirby Superstar. Defeating Milky Way Wishes unlocks the Arena, a boss rush mode where you choose your favorite abilities to take on an onslaught of enemies. Leave it to a Kirby game to pack as much as they possibly can into the cartridge. Hell, even the original Kirby game had an unlockable challenge mode after you finish the story. This franchise truly is one of my favorites, and that's to give credit to a lot of people, but perhaps first and foremost to Masahiro Sakurai. Since his creation of Kirby, this game series has proved time and time again that a game that can be played by anyone will be a treat for everyone. That's true of the original Kirby game, that action game for beginners, and still holds true today with over 30 games in the franchise. But that's not to put everything on Mr. Sakurai. Although his ideas and his creation has fostered such a highly regarded series, let's not forget the entire team at HAL that worked to create this game and others. The leadership of the late Satoru Iwata, who went on to become president of Nintendo. And of course, the skilled team at HAL that Sakurai has now passed the torch to, as Kirby Superstar was the last mainline Kirby game that Sakurai directed before moving on to his new franchise, Super Smash Bros. Now that's a legacy. Y'all, thank you so much for watching. I had a great time putting this together. I'd love to hear what y'all thought about the video, or what you think about Kirby Superstar, what your favorite Kirby game is. Tell me about it in the comments. And if you really did like the video, watching it all the way through was already plenty. But if you want to go above and beyond, leaving a like, a comment, or even sharing it with a couple of friends really helps expand my reach so I can tell my stories to more people. I'm already really excited to work on the next one. I left a couple of hints in this video and the last one that I put out about what the next topic's going to be, so see if you can figure it out. If you want to know exactly when that one's coming out, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Until then, I'll see you next time. Thank you.